Hi boys and girls, welcome to day 2 of measuring. Yesterday you came up with lots of good ideas as to different things you could measure and how you could measure them. And that gave you information of the size of what you were measuring, and also it might have given you an idea of how much of something you have, or the amount of something you have. Today, and the rest of this week actually, as I teach you math, we're going to be focusing on a certain type of measurement. We're going to be focusing on measuring height, how tall or short something is, length, how long or short something is, and even width, how wide or narrow something is. So as we measure, you're going to be using words like height, taller, shorter, longer, shorter, bigger, smaller, wider, or narrower. Those are a lot of words we're going to be using as we describe the things we measure this week. Now, typically when you measure things like that, you would be using something like a measuring tape or a ruler. But we are actually going to be using something called a non-standard tool. Non-standard tool. So these are things that you can find right around your house. There are 3 rules when measuring with a non-standard tool, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys today. The 3 rules to measuring with non-standard tools. So I'll first show you my tools that I chose to measure with today. I have some Legos here, okay? And so the first rule to measuring with non-standard tools is your tools have to all be the same size. So I went through my Lego box and I found all of these types of Legos, these little squares. They're all the same size. I didn't include these types of Legos, these really thin ones, because they're different. My non-standard tools have to be the same. Okay, so that's rule number 1. Rule number 2 is when you measure, you need to line up your tools with what you're measuring at the bottom. So if I wanted to measure this castle here, I would line up my tools at the bottom. See that there? They're lined up. And then I want my tools to go all the way to the top, as close as I can get. And then I know that my castle is this many Legos tall. So let's see, my castle is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 Legos long. So those are 2 rules. Same size tools, line up at the bottom, okay? Nice and straight too. I don't want to have my Legos going like this. That's not going to help me measure the correct way. It's got to be lined up at the bottom, nice and straight. Okay, last rule, I'm actually going to show you using a different non-standard tool. So if I wanted to measure this pencil here, okay, I'm going to put it down on my desk here. Hopefully you guys can see that pretty well. And then my non-standard tool that I chose to use to measure my pencil are toothpicks. Okay, so remember the rules. I start at the bottom of my pencil and I line things up perfectly. And all my toothpicks are the same size, so I'm following rule number 2. Rule number 3 is I can't have spaces between my tools. So I can't put my second toothpick here with this big space in between. I need to line it up right in front of my other toothpick. Okay? And then I line up one more toothpick, and I used 1, 2, 3 toothpicks. Now my toothpicks go beyond my pencil, which means my pencil is really only 1, 2, and about 2.5 toothpicks long. Okay? You might find as you're measuring that you need to talk about half. Okay? If I only needed part of my toothpick, I'm using about half of one. Some other words you might say is my pencil is about 2 toothpicks long, or about 2.5 toothpicks long. So you might have to use some words like that because some tools may not measure exact. Let's do this one more time using my Legos again, and I'm going to go over the rules one more time. So first, my Legos, I'm going to line them up right with my pencil, Okay, they're both lined up. They're both starting at the exact point. They're both nice and straight. I don't have my pencil going this way and my Legos going this way. Everything's lined up nice and straight. Okay, now my Legos I have connected together. So that's a nice easy way to measure when you have things that connect together. But let's say they didn't. Let's say they were like wooden blocks. I wouldn't want to have spaces in between them like this. Remember, that's rule number 3, no spaces. They have to all be right next to each other. Okay, so once again, Legos make that easy. I can just snap them all together. All right, and then what I would do is when they're all lined up, I would look to see where my pencil ends, and I can take off all my extra Legos that I don't need before I count to see how many Legos long my pencil is. Now, if you look really close, my pencil doesn't quite make it to the end of my blue Lego there. So let's count up my Legos that I used, but I still need that blue Lego because look, if I took it off, then my pencil's gonna go beyond my Legos. I need more Legos to make sure I'm measuring the whole pencil. Okay, so I'm gonna count my Legos. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now, if you remember, my pencil wasn't quite as tall as my Lego tower. So I would say I used about 16 Legos, or I used 15 and a half Legos. Remember those words you can use to describe how big your item is that you're measuring. Okay? All right, boys and girls, your task for today is to watch a video called Sid the Science Kid, Non-Standard Measurement. He's going to explain to you again what non-standard measurement means, and it's a fun little cartoon to watch. And then you are going to find some non-standard tools around your house and do some measuring. Okay, you're going to find some objects around your house to measure like I did. I measured my castle and my pencil. And then I want you to do something that Sid does in the video. He actually uses his body to measure a room, a classroom actually. So I want you to use your body to measure a room in your house or your apartment and see how many of your bodies it takes to measure one of the rooms from one wall to the next. All right, have fun, boys and girls, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.